All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many new business owners, GST registration. Is it just, another piece of paperwork you have to deal with? Or could it actually be your secret weapon for growth? Let's dive in and find out.
To really get what's at stake here, I want to start with a story. It's a really common one, unfortunately, about a big mistake, a mistake made by an entrepreneur named Priya.
So, let's meet Priya. She's super passionate about her business, right? Working hard, trying to grow her company. And just last month, she was this close to landing a fantastic new contract. But it fell through.
And we're not talking about a small loss here. This was a 5 lakh rupee contract. I mean, for any growing business, losing a deal that size, wow, that's a huge blow. It's the kind of thing that really makes you stop and question everything.
So what went wrong, right? You'd think maybe a competitor came in with a lower price, or maybe there was an issue with her proposal. Nope. The real reason is actually much, much simpler and honestly, way more frustrating. That was it. The entire deal just fell apart because she didn't have a Goods and Services Tax Identification Number, a GSTIN. Turns out, the client had this strict policy. They only work with registered vendors. And believe me, this isn't just Priya's story. This happens to countless small businesses all the time.
And what happened to Priya? It's the perfect example of a really common trap that so many entrepreneurs fall into. It's this small business mindset, and honestly, it can be a huge deception.
You've probably heard this before. Maybe you've even thought it yourself. It's just a small business. I'm not making that much yet. What's the need for all this registration hassle? And look, it seems logical, right? It feels like a smart way to avoid paperwork when you're just trying to get things off the ground. But this way of thinking has some serious hidden costs.
Okay, so let's break it down. By putting off that registration, what are you actually losing? It really boils down to 4 key areas where it hurts your business.
First off, just like what happened with Priya, you're basically invisible to big clients. They won't even consider you. Second, and this is a big one, you can't claim input tax credit. So any GST you pay on your business expenses, laptops, software, whatever, that's just money down the drain. It hits your bottom line hard. Third, you're completely blocked from selling on huge platforms like Amazon and Flipkart. And finally, think about this. Your registered competitors, they can claim that tax credit back. And that means they can offer lower prices than you. You're basically fighting with one hand tied behind your back.
Okay, so that's all the bad stuff, the cost of not registering. But let's flip the script. What's the real benefit of getting that GSTIN, maybe even before you're legally required to? This really just says it all, doesn't it? Without a GSTIN, to the rest of the business world, you can kind of look like just some small vendor. But the moment you have one, boom, you instantly become a legitimate business. It's a massive psychological shift that has very, very real-world consequences. And this newfound legitimacy, it translates into some seriously powerful advantages. For starters, it immediately builds trust with potential clients. Think about it. When you send a professional invoice with your GST number right there on it, people take you more seriously. And it's not just clients. Banks see you as a formal, serious business, which makes getting a loan way, way easier. It's all about building that solid foundation of credibility from the start.
So, here's the big takeaway. We need to completely reframe how we think about GST. This isn't just about following the rules or ticking a box for compliance.
And this is what the smart players do. The really savvy business owners. They don't wait until they hit that 40 lakh rupee revenue threshold. No way. They register early as soon as they decide they're serious about building a business that's meant to last.
There's a quote that just nails this idea perfectly. It says, "The businesses that grow don't just follow rules, they build credibility first." That's it right there. Businesses that are built to last don't just react to regulations, they are proactive. They understand that trust and professionalism are assets you have to build from day one.
So let's wrap this all up with a new definition, a new way to think about this. GST registration is not a compliance headache. It is a strategic tool. A tool you can use to build trust, to open doors you didn't even know were closed, and to gain a very real competitive advantage out there in the market.
Which really just brings us to one final question for you to think about. After looking at it from this angle, what's on your mind about registration now? Does it still feel like just a burden? Or does it maybe look a little more like an opportunity? An opportunity to get ahead of the game. Something to think about.